welcome back to the Tiny Artist TV Color Palette Challenge live stream day 4, character number 54. As you can see here, I have already finished the sketch off stream. Obviously, well, I won't say obviously, I'm sure you can imagine that this took more than 15 minutes to put together. So I didn't want to use that time during stream, and I just wanted the free space to conceptualize this idea before I jumped into the stream, because I know that I want to do a very heavy line art graphic style with this, and that usually takes me a little bit longer. So instead of having 15 minutes to do the sketch, 15 minutes to do the line art today, I'm going to take 30 minutes to do the line art and then still have the rest of the time to finish out the coloring, which, because it's a blocky graphic style, might take me less time than usual. Hoping, because I'm kind of hoping to finish stream a little early today. Still not feeling super great. My back is still bothering me, so I'm trying not to be too stationary for too long. So without further ado, I'm gonna go ahead and get into the drawing. And as you can see, I do have chat pulled up on the side, just in case, again, anyone wants to pop in and say, hey, that's there for you. I will be leaving it up this time because I took it off back and forth, and ended up missing a couple messages last time, so I'll just leave it up just in case. But let me go ahead and get started with the drawing. I'm gonna turn my references off too. I just had this up here so you guys could kind of see what I was working with for the inspiration. The color palette for today, the name is Tatami, so like a Japanese tatami mat. So that's kind of like part of the inspiration of why I decided to go with the Japanese themed character. So it's this very chubby, fluffy Tanuki character. Hold on just a second. I'm still seeing... There we go. Okay. And it's just, I had an extra bar at the bottom. I don't think you can see it on screen, but I can see it on my screen and it was bothering me. So we're just gonna go ahead and get started. I have a nice crunchy pen to work with today. This is different than the one I used last time. It has just a little less tooth, but still like enough tooth to make it look like it's ink on paper. If this was a normal Tiny Artist TV video, normally I would be filling this time telling you guys about the lore behind Tanuki and Samurai, because he's wearing the samurai armor, and Tengu and Oni and all of that fun stuff. I don't have that information on retainer fresh up here enough to confidently share with you guys, so that's most likely going to be something that I do in the voiceover during the stream recap. So if you're more interested in kind of the lore behind the different elements of this character, you'll have that to look forward to. Again, I don't know if I'll get it done today. I'm hoping to get it done today, but I have, once again, other obligations after I get off of stream. So I'll see how much time I give myself to do the editing, an additional script for that, because I do still have yesterday's stream to edit too. The main reason I decided not to do the Tanuki, Tengu, Samurai lore and history is because the way these particular videos are edited is very different, and so there's not really the proper space to do a full-on lore dump. Having the research bit kind of breaks up the flow of what's happening in these particular types of videos. But I do try to include some bits of what I can remember, so I will keep those in the recap, so stay tuned. Ah, that's too thin. Why did that thin out that much? There we go. Heavy pressure, heavy pressure. I love his teeny tiny little Tanuki hands and toes. So Tanukis are kind of, they're not mischief spirits. They're actually if I remember correctly, seen to be is good luck. Especially if you're out in the wild and you come across a Tanuki, it's supposed to be good luck. Tanukis have also been heavily featured in a lot of different anime. They pop up in manga from time to time. There's a Tanuki merchant in Triple X Holic who kind of helps Wata navigate the spirit realm that he sort of like slips into it, slips through the veil, and so the Tanuki kind of helps him find his way back out. They are usually depicted with a certain enlarged feature that I have decided to not include in this design for family-friendly purposes. But it is kind of just Google Tanuki statues from Japan and you'll see what I'm talking about. There is a reason for it. Again, if I remember correctly, I think it's tied into the lore of the age and like the status of the Tanuki. They've also been featured in Mario. If any of you have played Super Mario Bros. 3, the raccoon tail that you acquire that lets you fly is a Tanuki tail. Because, well, it's actually, yeah, it's a tail and ears. Yeah, it's a Tanuki. It's not a raccoon. Because in mythology, the Tanuki can fly. And the thing that I mentioned earlier helps them do that. They use the skin from this part of their body to help them fly. They are truly just the silliest of creatures. And of course I had to pick one of the most difficult types of armor to emulate. Samurai armor there are definitely ways to simplify it, and of course in my Google search I happened to pick one of the most difficult types to recreate because why not? But I also thought it was the most like aesthetically pleasing. It has the most surface areas for me to place the colors of my palette onto. But the type of samurai armor that I am portraying is not like the only type, as I'm sure anyone who's familiar with like any sort of Japanese media, Japanese films, those old 70s and 80s samurai movies, there are so many different types of armor, the way they layer the pieces or the ornamentation, the masks, everything is, it almost feels like, and I know that like it depends on like where you're from, who you're fighting for. So I don't want to say there's no one right way to do it, because there is certainly a historically accurate way to do it. But I think it's one of the things that like if you get something wrong, unless that person is like a historian, they're probably not going to call you out on it. So I'm going to try to simplify this armor a little bit just for the sake of stylization and character design, because I want this to look kind of more like a piece of street art than like a fully accurate illustration. Yeah, I like that it's kind of like, it's funky. It's not super duper clean, especially because the brush that I'm using also isn't super duper clean, and that's what I want to go for. I want it to have a little bit of like grunge to it. So this mask that he's wearing, in the initial concept, I thought about giving him an Oni mask. But then I started looking into a couple other masks that are prevalent in Japanese culture. So the three that you'll most likely see are Oni, which is a demon, Kitsune, which is the fox spirit, and then Tengu, which is, it is an oni, but it's also considered something of like a minor deity or a demigod, and they're called the dogs of heaven or celestial dogs. I couldn't find any confirmation of my thinking that they were wind spirits, because in Okami, when you're fighting the Tengu, they use wind attacks, but they're kind of like guard dogs for the spirit realm, if you will. Now granted, they don't look anything like dogs. As a matter of fact, they are typically shown with like large black wings. They have these like large, their masks are always like red, very angry, heavy brows, big noses, gritted teeth. Some of them have facial hair, some of them just have like the little markings to intonate like a little bit of a beard. I did give this one a full, it's going to be a white beard, because I have this smoke over here and I wanted the beard element to show the age of the Tanuki, but then also stylistically it balances out where I'm placing the color for the whole piece. So both the smoke and the beard are going to be this creamy color down here, because the Tanuki is going to be those alternating shades of gray. And I know right now they look very similar, but I did test them next to each other and they are different enough that you can, when they're next to each other in large swatches, you can see the difference. So one is a little more orange and one is a little more yellow. So that gives enough difference that I can use them next to each other and, you know, not have any issues with that. Yep, that's good. Kind of has a carved wood look to it, which these masks typically are made out of some type of wood. I mean, they're mostly made out of plastic now, but once again, just a really good pen. Now, could I do this with a round brush? Of course. Would it take me 5,000 years and then some? More than likely. Trying to think what the closest thing... I think the closest thing to doing this in GIMP would end up being a jitter brush on either a square or a brush that already has a shape to it, so when it jitters, it's rotating as you're drawing to create a little bit of that organic crunchiness that this brush is doing. I'm just gonna do just like that. Leave it nice and sketchy. so that is actually done, I'm sure now. I'm gonna set this to reference. I'm just gonna start blocking in color. I'm gonna take this off. I wanted him to look kind of like he has a beard. Yeah, that's good. That's really cool. So that way you can tell it's supposed to be darker without it being black. And it still has that very like sumie style. I've got 40 minutes left. I like this. I like being able to just be comfortable and make decisions instead of feeling rushed. Let me go ahead and put these mushrooms in. It's fine. Maybe it doesn't need mushrooms. Maybe just the grass is enough. Just the implication of a setting. Because I think the mushrooms I mean, I won't know unless I draw, but I have a feeling that if I do that, it's gonna take away from, like, it's gonna be another character, and I don't need another character. It just needs to be this. Is there anything else I was gonna do with this, though? Maybe just adding a little bit of definition to the smoke. Yeah, just doing a little bit of this. I need to clean up this area. I know that for a fact. Because this is still a little crunchy, a little messy. So I think I'm actually going to leave that alone. Because you can tell that it's in shadow. Yeah, it looks a lot cleaner that way. Now I'm not using too many extra colors that aren't in my palette because I want these to be kind of the star of the show, which I feel that they are since the Tanuki is taking up so much space in the palette or in the canvas. And then of course the armor's red and the mask is red. You've got all the highlights in this sort of cream color. And then the teal accents just breaking up all of that red. I'll take another look at this to see if there's anything else I can add or that I missed, but I think we're done for today at an hour and a half. So maybe I could have done the sketch on camera. But there was definitely, like, there was a lot of stalling on my part as far as decision making, and I didn't want to just be like stalling on camera. But I think the sketch did take about, let's say, maybe 20 to 30 minutes. Yeah, but that is all for today. So I'll see you guys tomorrow, or if you're watching the VOD, I'll see you in the VOD or in the next video, whatever. Have a weird day.